Choosing a hunting rifle should feel like an investment in confidence, precision, and reliability. But the truth is that not every rifle lives up to the promises stamped on its box. Over the past year, more and more hunters have spoken out about certain models that simply fail to perform when it matters most. And when you are alone in the field, tracking a once-in-a-season opportunity, the last thing you want is a rifle that lets you down. In this review series on Scoper 90 Degrees, we take a hard, honest look at 5 rifles that countless hunters now regret buying. These rifles come from well-known manufacturers, carry the right marketing claims, and often look good on paper. But as you will see, real-world performance tells a very different story. Some struggle to hold accuracy, some cut corners in build quality, and others include optics so unreliable that they turn a promising rifle into a frustrating liability. Before you spend your money on gear that could cost you time, opportunities, and peace of mind, let's break down the truth behind these 5 rifles and why so many hunters warn others to stay away. This is not about bashing brands. It is about learning from real experiences so you can make smarter decisions. If you are planning to upgrade your setup in 2026, you may want to listen closely, because one of these rifles might be on your list right now. The Winchester XPR Hunter carries a respected name, and that alone is enough to draw in many new hunters who expect classic Winchester reliability. On the surface, it seems like a smart buy, a synthetic weather-resistant stock, a familiar push-feed action, and a detachable box magazine that keeps loading simple in the field. With a price generally sitting between $550 and $700 depending on configuration, it positions itself as an affordable option from a legacy brand. But once you move past the brand recognition and start putting real rounds downrange, the experience changes. Many hunters report that accuracy falls apart past the 100-yard mark. And I saw the same issue during my own testing. The rifle groups reasonably at close range, but as distance increases, consistency becomes unpredictable. For a hunting rifle in 2026, that is a serious limitation. The trigger is another weak point. It feels heavy as limitation. The trigger is another weak point. It feels heavy, and the brake is not as clean as you would expect. That directly affects precision, especially when you are trying to make a controlled shot under pressure. The bolt action itself is loud and gritty, even after a proper break-in period. When you are stalking deer or hogs in quiet terrain, that noise becomes a real disadvantage. Feeding issues also appear more often than they should, especially with certain ammunition types. And while the detachable magazine is convenient in theory, the release feels flimsy and can fail when exposed to moisture or dirt. From a subjective standpoint, to like the XPR Hunter more than I actually did. It feels like a rifle built to hit a price point rather than a rifle built to deliver dependable field performance. The core idea is there, but the execution does not match the expectations tied to the Winchester name. If your hunting style keeps everything within 100 yards, it might still work. But for anyone needing reliable accuracy at medium to longer ranges, this model raises too many red flags. The Savage Axis II XP markets itself as a ready-to-go package for hunters who want an affordable rifle with a factory-mounted scope. At first glance, it seems like a solid deal. The rifle typically falls in the $450 to $550 range, depending on caliber and retailer, and the inclusion of Savage's AccuTrigger gives the impression of improved shootability. The synthetic stock is lightweight and weather-resistant, making it appealing to hunters who want a simple, low-maintenance setup. But once you start using the Axis II XP in real hunting conditions, the package shows its weaknesses quickly. The biggest problem is the included scope. Even under good lighting, the glass lacks clarity and the reticle appears soft and unfocused. More concerning is the reticle appears soft and unfocused. More concerning is the tendency for this scope to lose zero after only a few shots. That means constant re-sighting, which wastes valuable range time and drains confidence before you ever set foot in the field. In my own testing, the rifle itself wasn't terrible, but the poor optics dragged the entire experience down. The stock is another issue. While lightweight, it feels hollow and flexes more than it should. That flex can affect accuracy, especially with bipods or rested shooting positions. The magazine also fits loosely, causing noticeable rattle during movement, something you absolutely don't want when stalking game in quiet terrain. The AccuTrigger, although adjustable, doesn't solve everything. I found the break-in consistent from one shot to the next, which limits the rifle's true accuracy potential. From a subjective standpoint, the Axis II XP feels like a rifle that almost works, but only if you immediately replace the scope and ignore the cheap-feeling stock. And once you upgrade the optic, the budget package deal no longer makes financial sense. There are rifles in this price range that perform better right out of the box without forcing you into extra purchases. With that in mind, it's time to move to the next rifle on our list. This one aims to serve younger or smaller framed shooters, but ends up creating a new set of problems that many hunters quickly regret. The Ruger American Compact was designed with a clear purpose: give younger shooters and smaller framed hunters a rifle that fits them better than a full-sized model. With a shorter length of pull, reduced overall weight, and a compact barrel, it appears to be a thoughtful option for those who struggle with traditional dimensions. Priced between $450 and $600 depending on configuration, it sits in the same budget territory as other entry-level hunting rifles. However, once average-sized adult hunters start using this rifle, the downsides become hard to ignore. The shorter stock forces awkward shooting positions, making it difficult to achieve a proper cheek weld and consistent sight alignment. Even for smaller shooters, the ergonomics never feel quite natural. The reduced weight may sound convenient on paper, but in practice it amplifies recoil noticeably. In my own range sessions, the recoil felt surprisingly sharp for such a compact platform, and that discomfort quickly affected long-term accuracy. The shorter barrel also introduces performance limitations. By reducing velocity, it narrows your effective hunting range and weakens terminal performance on medium-sized game. This becomes even more noticeable with loads designed for optimal expansion at higher velocities. The Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger is a welcome feature, but its usable range feels restricted. You can adjust it, but the break never feels exceptionally crisp, and precision ultimately suffers. Magazine capacity is modest, and reloads become more frequent on extended hunts. From a subjective standpoint, I believe Ruger had good intentions with this design, but it feels like a niche rifle that doesn't translate well to general hunting use. It's not that the American Compact is unreliable. It simply introduces too many compromises for the average hunter. Unless you specifically need a very short, lightweight rifle for youth training or tight brush environments, most shooters will outgrow it quickly. Now let's move on to the next rifle on our list, one that comes from a respected American manufacturer yet struggles with quality control issues that many hunters can't overlook. The Mossberg Patriot Synthetic arrives with strong marketing and a proud American-made identity. On paper, it offers several appealing features: a button-rifled barrel, a weather-resistant synthetic stock, backup iron sights, and a price generally ranging between $400 and $550. For budget-minded hunters, it looks like a competitive entry in the affordable hunting rifle market. But once you start using it beyond the showroom, the flaws become difficult to overlook. The most common complaint, and one that I personally confirmed during testing, is the inconsistent accuracy straight out of the box. Shot groups tend to spread wider than acceptable hunting standards, even at moderate distances. Much of this seems tied to poor barrel crowning and uneven machining, which affects bullet stability the moment it leaves the muzzle. For a rifle marketed for accuracy and reliability, this is a serious red flag. Bolt operation is another point of frustration. The action feels gritty, with noticeable catching at different points throughout the cycle. When you are in the field, and every second matters, a rough bolt is more than just an inconvenience, it can cost you a shot. The trigger also leaves a lot to be desired. Instead of providing a predictable break, it feels mushy and inconsistent, making it harder to time your shot precisely. Then there's the stock. Although it resists weather well, the contours feel sharp and uncomfortable against the shoulder during extended use. Combined with awkward weight distribution, offhand shooting becomes tiring far more quickly than it should. Hunters who have tried to resolve these problems through customer service often report slow or unsatisfying responses, adding another layer of frustration. From a subjective perspective, the Patriot Synthetic feels like a rifle that had good intentions but never received the level of refinement necessary to become truly dependable. It is affordable, yes, but affordability loses its meaning when the rifle struggles in the one area hunters value most: reliable accuracy in real-world conditions. The Remington 770 has earned a reputation that no rifle manufacturer wants. It is widely considered one of the most disappointing hunting rifles of the modern era. Designed as an entry-level package, it typically includes a pre-mounted scope, sling, and basic accessories, all for a price usually ranging from $350 to $450. On paper, it seems like a convenient starter kit for new hunters. In reality, it is a collection of compromises that undermine its performance in nearly every critical category. Accuracy is the most alarming issue. Even at short distances, many shooters struggle to keep groups within acceptable hunting standards. During my own testing, the rifle produced inconsistent, widely scattered shots at only 50 yards, something no hunting rifle should struggle with. The included scope is part of the problem, featuring cloudy glass, unreliable mounts, and a reticle that makes precise aiming nearly impossible. The scope frequently loses zero after minimal shooting, forcing constant adjustments that quickly become exhausting. The bolt action is another major flaw. The cycling feels rough, and jams are far too common regardless of ammunition choice. Extraction issues appear frequently enough that they cannot be dismissed as isolated defects. When a rifle cannot be dismissed as isolated defects, when a rifle cannot reliably chamber or eject rounds, it becomes more than an inconvenience. It becomes a liability in the field. The synthetic stock does resist weather reasonably well, but it feels cheap and provides little confidence when handling the rifle in demanding hunting environments. From a subjective standpoint, the Remington 770 feels like a rushed product built to capture the low-budget market, rather than a rifle designed to perform. The Remington name once stood for dependable craftsmanship, but this model simply doesn't reflect that heritage. Even beginners deserve better than a rifle that limits accuracy, slows them down, and creates frustration from the very first range session.